right, so our guest speaker is Travis. He is an East Bay native who is currently serving as a senior producer at Double Fine Productions, an Xbox studio that's made games like Psychonauts, Costume Quest, and most recently games Keeper and Kiln. They fundamentally agree with and appreciate the company's principles of supporting an art-first approach to video game development, as well as uplifting and amplifying marginalized voices in game industry. In addition to their game development background, they are also a professional bass player, often performing in orchestras, bands, musicals, and original music. Over 25 years of experience in the field and master's degrees in music education. Travis is a founding member of the Awesome Orchestra and has been featured on tracks with artists including Beats Antique, The Deer Hunter, and appearing on film and television in Steven Universe, the movie, and Steven Universe Future. In addition to these endeavors, Travis is also a teacher in a teacher training program at Alameda Aikikai and regularly volunteers in every capacity, from helping to teach the kids classes to making their famous savory waffles at fundraising events, all in Alameda. They are excited and delighted to bring their experience and expertise to this year's Maker Faire. Everybody give it up for Travis.
Oh, what a delightful intro, thank you. So I think I should be able to put this here, and it should be able to still pick me up. Am I still audible? I'm fairly loud on my own, so hopefully. Cool, my screen has gone dark, that's okay. How's it going? My name is Travis Kindred. I am excited to be here. We're gonna talk about how video games are made. This is a bit high level, so for some of you that have really extensive sort of art, design, or engineering backgrounds, you might have more sort of detailed questions, and please reach out afterwards or come find me afterwards, and I'm happy to go deeper on any of the topics I bring up today. So for me, that introduction was pretty great, so this is just going to be kind of a lightning round. For my education, I usually don't put my high school down, but I'm a local, so I thought maybe I should. I graduated from St. Leandro High. I got my bachelor's in music at SF State, and then I did my master's in music education at Holy Names University, so all pretty much within 15 miles of each other. I've been here for quite a while. My professional background in video games, I started at Ubisoft. I started working as a musical transcriptionist, transcribing guitar and bass music. And then I moved from there into a role as a curriculum designer. So basically a systems designer working specifically on educational content for video games. And then from there I went into production and started my career as an associate producer. Then I moved on to Visual Concepts, the studio that makes the NBA 2K series. And I ended up working as the tech art producer on that project for NBA 2K23. And now I'm serving as the senior producer at Double Fine Productions. I've worked on shipping Keeper and Kiln and the other projects that we can't announce that are in development. As was mentioned, I've also worked as a professional bassist, most notably on Steven Universe, the movie, and Steven Universe Future. So, what are games? We're going to kind of rapid fire through the classification of games. There are three sort of primary buckets. You have indie games, AA games, and AAA games. An indie game is usually done by a fairly small team, if not just a single person. These games can include Hades over at Supergiant, that's here in San Francisco, Fez, which is a single-person game, Super Meat Boy, a team of two, and Stardew Valley, a game that many of you probably still play to this day and was completely made by one person, which is incredible. A AA game is something you might see as like a partner studio, something like Stray that was done in partnership with Annapurna, something like The Outer Worlds or Psychonauts that was done in partnership with Xbox, or something like Life is Strange. These are usually games that have a slightly smaller appeal, a slightly smaller team, and not quite the sort of insanity that a huge game budget can be. And then AAA, these are your big tentpole games. Your Final Fantasies, Resident Evil Requiem is a great AAA game that came out recently. Halo is a very commonly referred to one, and then obviously the NBA 2K series. There are also lots of different types of game genres. You have roguelites, puzzlers, platformers, life sims, open world, single-player narratives, massive multiplayer online RPGs, horror games, first-person shooters, sports sims. The list just goes on and on and on. There's not really a definitive list of genres because you can always make a new genre. That's kind of the beauty of the art form. It's still in development. To give a little bit of context, I think it's really important to recognize that games are only able to affect 3 senses of an average human, right? And that's sight, sound, and touch. And touch is a fairly new one. So the entire genre really thrives off of only having these 3 senses be part of the interactive kind of world building that games provide. For a little bit of history, the very first video game is Tennis for Two. This was made in 1958 as part of a demo to encourage people to come and check out an annual exhibition at a nuclear research facility in New York. And the person who made it was also the head of electronics on the Manhattan Project. And it kind of gives you a lot of perspective for the type of knowledge base and the type of experience that was necessary to sort of create the first video game. We're literally talking about nuclear physicists. And you can kind of see right here a little bit of what that game looked like. It's not really what you would consider a video game today. This is it. Pretty exciting. Yeah, this tore down the house. This was revolutionary. There were maybe some computer games that may have been made before this, but they were mostly made as technical demonstrations, not as a means of entertainment. This is a recreation of that original setup that's available. I forget which museum. There's a museum that I can reference later. I like this because you can literally see the physical switches switching. That's how this game works. They had to actually move electricity through a circuit to get metal to move from one point to another. I love it.
Travis, I can just say we have the switches on our pinball machine. It's doing that same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same technology in pinball, which is wonderful. So games are made of loops, right? The average experience is a loop-based experience. The most common loop that you normally find in a video game is what's called an OCR loop, or Objective, Challenge, and Reward. One of my favorite games is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and a great example of this OCR loop is you get a quest from Druinia, the king of the Gorons, to go defeat the dragon in Mount Doom so that he can free all of his Goron friends and have yummy rocks to eat. And the reward is you get this really awesome megaton hammer that now you can use to break rocks that were keeping you from getting to other parts of the world. This is a really simple loop, and obviously a game will have tons and tons and tons of these. So one of my favorite things to do is try to identify the game based on the loop. So if we have a different kind of loop where here we're exploring, we're then encountering, and then we're capturing, what kind of game would this be? Can anyone think of a game where this is a primary loop? Pokemon. Absolutely. There are all kinds of loops that exist in all sorts of games. Some of those loops are very small. Some of those loops are very, very big. Some of those loops go in reverse. Mario Kart is a great example. If you're doing really well, we give you worse items, right? We call that a negative feedback loop in order to balance out the people at the end who aren't doing well so they get really good items. That is a loop. So what goes into making a game? One of the major things that we often talk about are game engines. This is really all of the stuff that's taking everything you've made and making it run. It's got all of the logic and all of the tools that you need to get a game off the ground. A couple of really sort of classic examples of this are the Unreal Engine. This is a commonly used engine. We use it at Double Fine. It's often used for 3D games, although it can be used for 2D if you sort of break the engine a bit. It's also used in shows like The Mandalorian. If you've ever heard of The Volume, that's all run in Unreal as well. Unity is a great engine that has both 3D and 2D sides to it. Godot is a free 3D and 2D engine. There's a Godot game here on display right now, actually, so that's pretty amazing. And then there's also Game Maker, which is also a free 2D engine. And here's just a quick example of some of those engines at work. So here's Game Maker. You can see they're just doing basic sort of prototyping of getting one block to move left and right and to be blocked by other blocks. If you've ever made a game, you understand that collision is huge. It's a massive part of making a game. Here is Godot. This is a platformer. a little bit more advanced, a little bit more art, but you can see that the little character can't move left and right, can't turn. It's just sliding around. So some logic's there, but not all of it. And you can see sort of all this code in the background. And then here is another two-dimensional game, but this one's being made in Unity. And so you can see it's a little bit more advanced. You have a lot more tools. There's less scripting, there's less code, and more just being able to grab tools that just sort of already exist and already work. And then this is Keeper, one of the games that we released recently at Double Fine. This is all done in Unreal. And you can kind of see the scale at which this is, we went from a little block that moves left or right to this gigantic system with lights and objects and all sorts of things going on. So that's your game engine. And then you have your art tools. I see quite a few of you have been working in Blender, which is fantastic. Blender, I think, is definitely the future. I also saw someone's been using Nomad Sculpt, and someone's been using Asebright, which is great. All of these tools effectively are, in and of themselves, just tools for making art, right? This is like having a canvas and paint and paintbrushes. That doesn't necessarily turn into a painting. You still have to do all of the actual work, right? So these tools just give you those elements with which to make what you want to make. Maya and Blender are very, very powerful tools that are often used in the industry specifically for making 3D models and for making all of the sort of environments and characters that you play as in different video games. Nomad Sculpt is really, really wonderful, especially because it can be run on an iPad and it's Apple Pen friendly, so you can just kind of go on the go. You can do it without paying a huge, huge fee. And then Asebright's really good if you're looking at pixel art specifically. Here's another little walkthrough of some of those tools. So this is Maya. This is walking through a character mesh and kind of detailing how you can choose an entire character, parts of a character, and every one of those little squares represents basically a rendering block. So like how much data is being used in each square. More squares, more data, harder to run, but looks better, right? And then this is Blender. This, you're looking at someone building what we call like a white box sort of environment. There's a little bit of modeling, but everything, you see the triangles are now huge. The squares are really big. Everything's very low poly, low res. So it runs really fast. It's really easy to move stuff around. And you can build things really quickly, which is really nice. Blender is great because it's a free open source software. Anyone can make tools for it. And then here's a little example of Nomad Sculpt. What's really cool about this is because you can use it with an iPad Pro can both have a mouse and an Apple Pen. So it's basically like what you would see in a professional art studio with a Cintiq. It's a huge, huge like writable computer. And you can see they're just drawing over a picture they already had, and it automatically created a model, and then they're using a spline tool to sort of connect those things together so that that thing would have volume and depth. Obviously, we've talked about sight, but we have to talk about sound. You have lots of audio in games. This is something I care a lot about. I work in audio quite a bit. You have two sort of major things in video game development regarding audio. You have your DAW, or your digital audio workstation. That can be Pro Tools or Logic, or what I prefer is Audacity and Reaper. Reaper was actually made by the same person who made Winamp, for some of the parents here who remember Winamp. And it was specifically made to combat the extremely sort of predatory pricing of Pro Tools. And we all use it in the industry. It's amazing. And then for middleware, this is basically software like a mini engine that you would use to talk to the game engine. And this is what's compelling the game to do, to play sounds at certain times in certain ways, and then to change those sounds based on behavior. So when you hit jump, it makes the jump sound, but if you land on something early, it'll stop the jump sound, but it won't cut it really hard and make it sound bad. It'll sound good. That's all done by the audio engine. Wise and Fmod are two of the most popular. I really like Wise, not only because it's the one I know, but also because they have a partnership with Playdead's Limbo. If you haven't played Limbo, please do. It's a very dark and creepy game, very short, very fun. Wise has a deal with Limbo where they will let you download all of Wise for free right now, and then you can download all of Limbo for free right now, and then you can change as much as you want. You're allowed to do whatever you like with the game's audio, which is really incredible. And so you get stuff like this, where you can have the same thing. These are the UI sounds for the game done by 3 different developers. Under the hood there in the top left corner. Top right. This one's my favorite. I love that the exit button, when you hover over it, boom, low sound. Very, very ominous. So you can see how different people can really approach it in totally different ways, from using analog instruments like a piano to using completely digitally created sounds like clicks and snaps and oohs, right? I love that you could do that right now. You could download Wise right now and mess around with that. I love that. We can't talk about games without talking about art. So we're going to go through kind of all the departments, but art is one of the most important. You have all different kinds of artists. So all of these are different roles, usually done by different people, if not different teams. Concept art, character artists, environment artists, animators, visual effects artists, tech artists. All of these aspects that make one thing that you see takes an entire village of people to make happen. Right? If you're in a video game and you see a tree and the wind is going through the trees, that's like 5 teams of people all working together to make that tree do that thing. And it's really incredible. And then for design, you've got level designers, combat designers, narrative designers, systems designers, technical designers. Without narrative designers, we wouldn't have Skyrim's famous opening. Without level designers, we wouldn't have the incredible worlds that we get to play with in Breath of the Wild. And without combat designers, we wouldn't have even simple games like Street Fighter, right? Really, really complex combat with a very simple premise. Then you have audio. We've kind of talked about this, but sound design, music, and voice acting. At Double Fine, I actually help out with the voice actors quite a bit. I'm the one who coordinates with that team, which is pretty fun. And you can have music done by a live orchestra, but you can also write all that music in your own bedroom. It doesn't matter what you use to make the thing that you want in the game. It just matters that you get to match the vision that you have in your head. And that's one of the beautiful things about games, is that you can have that one-to-one pretty easily. Engineering. I think a lot of y'all probably know about this one. Gameplay programmers, graphics programmers, network programmers, systems programmers, tools programmers. Engineering and programming is the backbone of video games. Most early devs, if not all early devs, had to be an engineer as well as a designer, an artist, a musician. You couldn't pick one. Now it's a lot easier to specialize without necessarily needing to code. Most designers don't code, most artists don't code, but we can't do any of our work and we can't make anything possible without our engineering teams. C++, C#, Python, Lua, JavaScript, Rust, all working in Visual Studio, all working in the game. It's a huge, huge amount of knowledge and a huge, huge amount of work. And then finally, production. This is my realm. So we're dealing with Excel, Google Sheets, calendars, and then we're also helping our QA teams, our testers. We're helping make sure that all the bugs are being tracked and they're being squashed and they're being done on time. We're making sure that everyone knows where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do at any given time. Production's a huge, important part of game development as well. And then there are the other parts that we don't really get to see so often. So this is marketing and ops. For marketing, every time you've seen a Nintendo Direct, that's almost exclusively the marketing team, right? The game team is part of it, and obviously Shigeru Miyamoto comes out and says hi, but that's marketing. IGN often works with the marketing and publishing teams in order to make their articles and to get early access to games so that they can get their reviews out on time. A lot of work with influencers, especially on Twitch or any other kind of live stream platform, those are often done with our marketing teams. And then of course we have our operations teams. You have your IT, human resources, office management, and finances. All of those departments are necessary in order to make a game. And whether it's one person doing all of that work, or it's an enormous giant team across multiple countries that's doing all that work. There are also phases in game development that are extremely important. The first phase is often ideation. So this is where we're doing paper prototypes, we're getting early ideas. You have a very, very, very small team that's working very, 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 very fast. I love this because this is all concept work from the first Mario game. I really, really love that you can see the concept of the controller and what it's supposed to do. There are 3 buttons. They had to write out a whole diagram. I love it. I also love the Proto-Yoshi. Proto-Yoshi is probably one of my favorite things on the planet, especially with the 8-bit sprite Mario drawn on top. It's great. I also love this. If you look at the bottom left, you see this like objectively bad drawing of Mario in a cloud. This is what it looks like. It's not all pretty. It's not all like some incredible artist just magically made the most perfect rendering of exactly what they wanted right at the start, and we just followed that path. It's back of napkin, it's whiteboards, it's scribbles, it's doodles. That's this phase, and it's really, really, really fun. And then we move into pre-production, and this is where we're starting to pull that stuff into engine. We're starting to make that stuff come to light. So we do something called white boxing, where we basically take the idea we have and we just use white cubes and boxes in order to make a simulacrum or a simulation of that thing. You can see here in the bottom left, it's a car, but it's just a bunch of blocks. This allows the team to move very quickly through ideas, to try things out, to sort of churn things up and knock them away as quickly as possible. You're also seeing low poly renders. So this is, we talked about those squares, big squares, very simple stuff. Everything's T-posing everywhere. Nothing is animated, nothing's moving. You're also hitting into your vertical slice and your alpha. These are your real tests to show that your game is able to do what you said it's going to do. Your vertical slice is like if you took your game and took a slice out of it and it showed all of the layers of what your game would be. That's what your vertical slice would be. Your alpha would be, here's all the features we want. You're going to have a combat system, an inventory system. You're going to have leveling. You're going to have the Pokemon can evolve. That's a thing you have to prove out in your alpha. And then production is probably the most intense. That's where you beef up the entire team. You've proven what you're going to do. You take things from a very, very, very simple concept and you've moved them all the way through to their final form. This is also towards the end of production when you get into closing, where QA comes in. QA is one of the most important parts of any video game production pipeline, and they're going to be taking care of all your bugs. They're going to be finding them. They're going to be finding them before your users do, right? That's what you want. And then you're also clearing for your platform releases. Unfortunately, you don't just make a game and it just works on every platform. You have to make versions of your game for PlayStation, for Nintendo, for Steam, for Xbox. Every single platform has its own entire rule and rubric for how you need to get that game out the door. This is just a giant reference for a bunch of different tools. If you were all interested in getting your hands on them. Godot, Unity, Game Maker, Audacity, Reaper, Wise, and then a couple of really, really cool things. OpenGameArt.org, Pixabay, and itch.io. You can get a lot of free assets, a lot of free music, a lot of free sounds that people have made specifically for you to just jump in and get started. They're free to use, they're open source, and there's tons and tons of stuff. So there's no reason not to get into it. And obviously for art tools, in addition to Blender, Nomad, Sprite, there's also Procreate, which is a really, really good tool, and you can animate in it. And then the Fab asset market, this is Unreal's asset market. There are things that you can buy, like buy a pack of all of these humans, but you can also get tons of free stuff. And it's really amazing. Fully complete, fully rendered, fully rigged models that are ready to go into your game. You can get those for free. If you want to learn how to make games, there's stuff that you can do locally that's really amazing. GameHeads is a program in Oakland that takes high school and early college age students and teaches them how to make games, goes through the entire process. You get to be a producer, you get to be a designer, you get to be an engineer, you get to do the whole thing. It's really amazing, and they're right here. They love answering questions and helping new students. Game Maker's Toolkit is a great online reference. It's a person who had a YouTube channel that just walked through how to make games and did all these really great game design breakdowns. And they have since started an entire sort of curriculum on how to make your own game. Udemy, online courses, and then there's first-party education programs. Wise and Unity have their own 101, 201 courses that you can take for free, and then you can learn how to use their tools so that you can start to make your own stuff. DigiPen is a college in Seattle. They literally are a game design college. UC Santa Cruz has a really great computer game design program. I mentioned these two because we have a lot of employees at Double Fine from both of these programs. And then obviously Game Jams. I'm super excited about your Game Jam in September. That's going to be so cool. I'm also really jealous. I think you said a month and a half. We usually get 3 days. So like, that is awesome. There used to be a game jam on a train, by the way. You would take the train from Washington, D.C. to California. And it would be full of game devs, and they'd all be feverishly working on the train to make a game. And that's how long you had. And then obviously, if all else fails, brute force of will prevail no matter what. I have never been more impressed than the human capacity to just power through without any guidance or without any access to resources. Not my recommended method, especially as an educator, but there's literally nothing stopping you from making a game right now. If you would like any of this information or any of the resources I have available, you're welcome to scan this QR code, and it's literally going to take you to this presentation that we just went through. All of the links that I gave are going to take you to all of the resources that I listed. So all of the tool websites, the resource websites, the Gameheads website, it's all there. So if you do want to get any of that information, you're welcome to pop that in. I believe I opened the sharing privileges so anyone with the link can view the document. But other than that, I know I probably took a little bit extra time. I apologize. But if there are any questions, I'm happy to help out.
So you were talking earlier about how like different programs have different poly counts and different like amounts of data. How easy or not at all can you move like something from Blender to the other program that you were talking about that has like a higher poly count?
Oh, that's a good question. So I may have misrepresented a bit of like the purposes of the different programs. So both like Maya and Blender are both currently used industry standard 3D modeling tools. You can do kind of the same things in both, but really what it depends on is you or your studio's preferred method. So like at Double Fine, we use Maya, and we've used Maya for a very, very, very long time. But the industry is moving towards Blender, because Blender is better supported, it's open source, it's ethically better, so we're seeing a push, and especially in our younger devs, to move to Blender. Changing things from Blender to Maya and back and forth, really, really, really hard. However, the real like difference in poly counts comes in the phase of development or in the particular role that you have. So for example, like an animator doesn't need a high poly count model in order to animate, because you really just need to make sure the arm goes this way, things go that way. If you have the most like bangarang model, right, fully rendered, every time you move something, your computer is going to catch on fire, and you're going to see like 20 arms appear as you try to move that arm. And so like, it really depends on your workflow and what process you're trying to work on and what specific goal you have. If you're trying to hit a look target, as many polys as you can get, right? You are trying to make this look like a painting, right? If you're trying to finish a prototype in an hour, you want as few polys as you can get because you're just trying to get an idea. And you could do both of those in Maya and Blender, but then your workflow will determine which one you use.
What advice do you have for beginner and or first-time game developers?
Oh, that's such a good question. What would I recommend for a beginner or first-time game developer? I'd recommend think about a game that you really like and copy it. Copy one loop, copy one level, right? All of us who started, we didn't start by just having the best idea ever, totally original, incredible, amazing, and just working with that. We started by emulating the things that were cool. It's just like when you were younger and you were given crayons, you probably didn't invent an animal right away. You probably drew a cat, right? That's okay. That's good. That's a good thing to do. The more cats you draw, the more able you are to draw the cat in your head. Similarly, I would recommend that you take a look at a game that you really like. And for me, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, I'm not going to make that whole game. But what if I just make one fight scene, like one boss fight? What would I need? Well, I'd want a 3D engine. I'd need some sort of 3D assets. I would need some really cool music, right? And that sort of helps to tell you what you need, and then you can use all these resources to figure out how to get those things. Like I can get those 3D models from the Fab store. I can use Godot to build out everything. Maybe I can find on Pixabay some really cool environments, like a throne room or something. And then I can use some copyright-free music to make it sound really exciting. So it really depends on what you want to do. I used to sell instruments. We always used to say the best instrument for you is the one that's going to make you want to play. Everybody wanted to know, what's the best guitar? What's the best trumpet? What's the best drum set? It's like, it's the one that when you look at it, you're going to pick up and play. Because if I sell you like a $10,000 drum set and you don't play it because you don't like it, then it doesn't do the thing we need you to do, which is to play. So find a game that you like, try to copy it and emulate it, and then try to move on and do one more, do another, and start getting into the habit of like doing that as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone else? Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering about Double Fine itself. How big is the company, and what's it like to work there?
Oh, that's such a good question. So Double Fine is, we're based in San Francisco. We're in the Soma district. We have like, I think 87 full-time employees, which is pretty big for us. We normally sit around 70. And that includes all of our publishing team, our IT team, like everyone. It's pretty interesting. So I've worked at Ubisoft, which has like thousands and thousands and thousands of employees, and studios all over. I've been flown to like multiple countries to work, with different studios. And then the NBA game was enormous, right? We had an art team of 250 people. But at Double Fine, the thing I love the most is the first day I walked into the office, it was exactly what I thought a video game company would be when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I thought everybody would be weird, and there would be cool art everywhere, and everyone would just love like Godzilla and Star Trek and all the sort of stuff that I loved. And it was true. When I got there, everyone was like the weirdest person I'd ever met, which for me is really saying something. But at Ubisoft and 2K, great places to work. It was a lot more like a regular office. You sat in your desk, and maybe someone had like a little transformer on their desk, but that's really it. But Double Fine, it's really an art-led, diverse sort of incubation program gone wild. Which I really like, and it's nice because it's a more of a flat structure. You can talk to anyone. You don't have to sort of go through a bunch of red tape to talk to the CEO or something like that. And everybody wants to know your really cool idea, which I really like.
Yeah, I'm wondering how you made like your career profession. Like I know you did do like music and you did get like your master's, but it's just like applicable projects and like you could do several careers. But how did you turn into profession and where you are now?
Oh yeah, so like how did I go from like a very clear track of music education into game development? That's a great question. The short version is that when I got my graduate degree, I was looking for education work. It was very hard to find at the time. And so I was taking on odd jobs. So I was also working as a professional musician. I was doing musicals, session work, small tours. I was also doing a lot of private lessons.
Long-term sub at St. Joseph Notre Dame High School.
I did sub here. That was fun. That's how I met Andy. And then eventually we wound up being neighbors somehow. It's very, very cool. But I also was working as a luthier, so I was building upright basses. And then I had a friend through the orchestra scene who had this job at Ubisoft transcribing music. And he was hiring some of the local guitarists and bassists to come and work because, reliable work is kind of hard to find. And we're like, oh yeah, this is great. We just sit down and we just play guitar all day. This is awesome. And once I got my sort of foot in the door, I started to get really interested and really involved. And then I very luckily was able to negotiate kind of transferring out of the transcription zone into design. And when I made that jump, that's where I really shifted from being like kind of struggling to get a solid teaching job and a solid performance job to having this really stable job doing this super amazing thing that I also love, right? Which was being able to design educational curriculum for video games. It was sort of this mixture of all the things I really loved. But then once I was on that track, it just sort of kept going. So it's kind of like I stumbled into it, but like I sort of stumbled on purpose. Groovy. I really appreciate y'all. If you want, I'm gonna put Keeper on the screen. You're welcome to play. Come up and play as much as you like. But I really appreciate it, and I love seeing all your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Travis. Another round of applause for Travis. Thank you so much for being here. That's it from me and other speakers, so please look around, see what we have here. I'm gonna make some plugs for the STEAM Society, or the robotics team. Please come and talk to Peter over here about robotics, that would be great. And then also, if Esther, yeah, drive the robot, and then also find Esther to talk about Dusk and Dawn and Jelly. Please do that, that would be great. All right, thank you everybody for being here.
Hello. I'd just like to get your attention. I'm doing a live demonstration of the motorized bike if y'all want to go outside near the quad entrance. I'm Sean Cook. I'm a 12th grader. We're just gonna see my homemade motorized bicycle. The original engine was from Adrian Padilla over there. And then he just kind of left me unsupervised with the rest of the engine, and I made it what it is today. And yeah, it is a bit loud, I will warn you guys. I am actively working on fixing it, but yeah, there will be popping from back pressure.